Hello, my friends, and happy Thursday. It's a beautiful day. It was so warm and gorgeous, except that now there's a huge storm. It's dark, it's raining, but that's okay because our flowers surely could use it. So it's been so beautiful. I am just really loving the weather. Although next week I'm going to brace myself just a little bit because it's going to be in the 50s. But anyway, there's my weather report. Now that we got that out of the way, we are going to be making several bracelets today. And we're calling them a day at the beach because yes, we are looking forward to going to the beach this summer. Whether you go to your local beach or maybe you go somewhere amazing. I don't know, even our local beach is pretty amazing. Although I don't really swim in Lake Michigan, it's way too cold. So as we are all looking forward to going to the beach, we have to have some beach appropriate bracelets. And I'm going to model my bracelets for you. So I made 3. However, this kit can make up to 4 bracelets. So that's pretty exciting. And we are going to explore 2 different options for the bracelet. Actually, I'm going to pull this one down because I want the one with the charm that's like hanging down like this. I want it on the outside so it doesn't get stuck in between. So we are going to explore 2 different options in making our stretchy bracelets. And one of the options is totally new, at least to me and my kids. Obviously, we have made many stretchy bracelets before. I do enjoy wearing them. I mean, they're so very low maintenance as far as putting them on. Very simple. And I wanted to expand our arsenal of techniques that we can use in our stretchy bracelets. So we are going to be using this beautiful, very beach glass-like type of beads. And we have them in 4 different colors. But technique-wise, we are going to explore making our own little charm and also a connector. So you can see that I added a little connector. And so we're going to explore that. Obviously, that makes the construction of the bracelet just a little bit different, not terribly so. So this is just kind of a very fun, casual thing. And you can make 4 of them. So these are the bead strands we have. And you could do something as simple as just keep it in these colors, or you can mix them however you want to. And actually, each one of the strands is more than long enough for a single bracelet. But I feel that it's kind of fun to mix them, create your own patterns. So the chances are everybody's set of bracelet is going to look different because we're all individuals and we all create differently. So the kit comes with 4 of these strands and 3 of the beads, which can be made into charms or connectors. And then the 4th, you can just decide. You can maybe either make it plain with no extras, or if you want to add an extra, perhaps you have just the perfect thing in your bead stash. I was actually thinking about making one with a large hole pearl. I think that would be super, super fun. And we just showed large hole pearls. So the chances are you have some large hole pearls in your stash. I'm just exploring ideas here. So, but before we get started, let's say hello.
Vonda says, good evening, everyone. Happy Thursday.
Hi, Vonda, and happy Thursday to you.
Allie says, hi. Crazy weather.
I know, right, Allie? So Allie is our local friend and customer. And so we're in the same weather pattern here. Oh my gosh, it got really, really dark. And now it's getting a little bit lighter. And I don't really know what it's trying to do, but it's a little bit exciting, I think.
Trudy says, good evening, everyone, and sends smiles.
Hi, Trudy, and thank you for the smile and the happiness. And I'm sending all of you guys smiles and hearts. Okay, so what do you think? Are we ready to get started? I think yes. So let's do this first. We are going to create our little custom parts first. And I was looking for the bracelets and then I realized that they're on my wrist. So I'm going to take them off for now and show you that. So essentially what we're going to explore are two different variations of how we can incorporate these beads into the bracelet. So variation A is we are making a connector, and variation B is we are making a little charm. And so there's my little charm. So let me get everything we need, and I'm just going to leave the bracelets right here.
Althea says, hi, everyone. Wild weather here.
Oh, hi, Althea. Yes, and Althea is not quite as close as Allie, but you are also in Wisconsin. How far are you from the store, Althea? So yes, it's been kind of crazy. It's I don't know, I think it's a little bit exciting. I was actually kind of hoping for a little lightning, a little light show, maybe later. Okay, my friends. So we are going to make a connector. And for the connector, I'm going to measure out approximately 5 inches.
Angela says, good evening.
Hi, Angela, and good evening to you, my friend. Okay, so I have approximately 5 inches of wire, and I am going to make a 90-degree angle, just as we always do when we are about to make a wrapped loop. So here is my 90-degree angle that I made with my chain nose. And I'm going to be doing this with my bail making pliers because we're actually going to be making a double loop. I introduced this double loop in a different project, and I think it's kind of fun to make this into a double loop. It's a little bit more sturdy, and visually I think it's a little more interesting as well. So I'm starting to wrap the wire just as if you were making just a regular wrapped loop. So I stop when I have like what looks like a little question mark. I stop, and then I'm going to hold on to the end of the wire, cross over, center the loop. So all of these steps are exactly what we would do if we were working on a regular wrapped loop. However, what we're going to do is add an extra loop. So we're just going to keep going. And so here is my double loop. So if you look right here, you can really see that it is a double loop. And while holding onto our loop with our chain nose pliers, we are going to create a little coil, little double coil, and just leave this little tail hang. And we are going to grab a bead, and I'm going to grab this little scallop shell, and make a 90-degree angle again on the other side, leaving just a little space. And this is what we always do when making a loop. So this is just an extra loop. We're adding that second loop. So again, we're going to start making our loop and try to center it and keep going and keep making that second loop without missing a beat. And again, we are just going to stop right here and coil into that little space that we left. So the little space I left is just about enough for a double coil.
Cherie says hello, Irina and Tony, and sends smiles.
Hi, Cherie. So nice to hear from you, my friend, and thank you for the smiles.
And Althea says about 90 minutes.
Oh, yes, you're 90 minutes away, and you're having about the same weather as we are, it sounds like. So, last weekend we had beautiful weather for Mother's Day, speaking of weather. So I hope everybody had a lovely, lovely Mother's Day. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side and just coil. So what I'm doing is I'm making an organically wrapped loop. So I coiled from the double loop to the bead, and now I'm going right back and coiling back to the loop. So this gives us a sturdier wrapped loop, and at the same time, it's kind of a fun look. And once I'm done with the coiling, I am simply going to snip off the wire on both ends, and we are going to tuck the very end of the wire in so that that little tail does not poke us in the wrist as we wear our beach bracelet. Okay, so there we go. We just made one of our components. And so this is how you make a link. And now, before we actually start on our wrapped loop, I'm sorry, I was thinking about the wrapped loop. What I really meant to say is before we start on our stretchy bracelet, we are going to make the charm as well. So I usually work right from the coil, and I'm going to make a little spiral. So to make the spiral, again, I'm just going to create a 90-degree angle, and this time it's going to be somewhere between 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. This might be a little bit too big, but you know what? We'll just go with that. And when I'm making a little teeny tiny spiral, I actually like to start it with my chain nose as opposed to my round nose. It's just kind of a little bit easier to wrangle. And you see how I made that little teeny tiny loop? And I'm going to make it into an even tinier loop like that. And I purposely did not start at the very end because I feel like it would have been slightly too big. So I started a little bit in, maybe like 4 millimeters in. And I cut off everything that was not curved. So everything that was straight, I just cut off. That was our excess wire. So there's my little loop. And I am actually going to switch to my flat nose pliers and just start making the spiral. So as you can see, I'm working with the very end of my flat nose pliers, and I'm holding the spiral as I am turning the wire. So once you kind of get it going and you have a couple of coils, you can actually move to a little closer to the center of your flat nose pliers. It's just easier for me to handle it that way. And there is my little spiral. And so now we're just going to move the shell. This is like a cone shell. These are so pretty, you guys. They're verdigris. And I'm going to make another 90 degree angle. And maybe I will make it in this direction. And again, I'm leaving maybe about 2 millimeters or less. So just enough to make those 2 coils. So this time I'm actually going to cut off the end of the wire, leaving about 2 inches. So this length is roughly 2 inches. And again, I'm going to do the same exact thing, but just on the one end. So I'm going to make a double loop. And you know, if you prefer a single loop, that is okay too. But lately I've been making these double loops and I kind of like them. And now I'm just going to, again, wrap it in a fun, organic way, which means that I'm going to go towards the bead. And once I get there, filling the entire space. Now I'm just going to turn in the opposite direction and go towards the loop.
Katie S. says Facebook finally behaved. I thought maybe you were offline due to the storms. Happy Thursday.
Oh, hi, Katie. Happy Thursday, my friend. Well, I'm so glad that naughty Facebook finally let you in.
And speaking of naughty Facebook, Betty says, had trouble finding you guys tonight.
Hi, Betty. Well, I'm glad you did find us. Yeah, I don't know if the storm is interfering. I'm not sure. But I'm just glad you're here. Okay, my friends. So this is what we just made. A little charm. So this is a charm just like any other charm, and we can simply hang it right from our bracelet. So now we're going to get going on our bracelet. And so in order for this charm, you know what, maybe I will actually, I just decided I want my loop and my spiral to be parallel. So I'm just going to give this a little tweak with my flat nose and my chain nose pliers, and there we go. They're now parallel. So there's a reason I did that, and that is because I'm about to put a little jump ring through this loop. So in order for our charm to hang correctly and not sideways, I turn the loop. And it's just like with anything, like with earrings especially, we really have to plan which way our loops are oriented. So there we go. I just put a little jump ring on this, and now it is ready to use. So we are going to pick, well, just for fun, you know, I'm just going to maybe use 2 colors for this one. These 2 colors together make me happy, and I'm going to use them. And incidentally, if you like these beads, which I think they're so fun, I'm also going to be showing these beads tomorrow for our bead soup video. And so the reason I'm saying it is because if you like the concept, but you would rather design your own, you can do that. Okay, ladies. So the fun thing with these beads is not only are they absolutely lovely and they're in the colors of the ocean, but there's a little secret. They have kind of a large size hole. So normally when I make my stretchy bracelets, I have to use a needle. Usually I will use like a collapsible eye needle. But because the holes in these are so large, we actually don't have to use anything at all as far as a needle. And I'm going to measure out somewhere between 12 and 14 inches. Obviously, no one's wrist is between 12 and 14 inches. However, it's always nice to have a little extra. And this way, it's a lot easier to tie our knot. So I really don't have a specific pattern in mind. So we're just going to make this up as we go. And I think I'm just going to put the charm on right away so that this is in the center. And so the rest of this is going to be really very similar, if not exactly the same as what we've done before. But when we get to our next option, which of course is the connector, that is going to be just a little bit different. So I'm just going to first remind you how we normally do it, like how we hide the knot and how we glue our knot, and then we'll explore the option with just a little extra. And I am just going to, I don't know, I'm kind of debating if I want to, maybe, you know what, maybe I'm just going to use the darker color for the rest of the bracelet. I think that will be very striking.
Karen says, good evening. Was watching, didn't get a chance to say hello.
Hi, Karen. Hello, my friend. And I'm so glad you're here.
And Sherry is wondering, do you need to stretch it first?
You know, no, not really. I mean, you can if you want to. I have done it both ways. But, you know, one thing I'm going to point out is that, well, actually two things. I'm going to point out two things. So number one is I made this bracelet. This is exactly the same stuff. It's Opalon, except that it's black. And I made this probably a couple of years ago. And miraculously, it has not broken yet. And the reason I'm saying it that way is because eventually every stretchy bracelet will break. If somebody tells you that they have some kind of magic stretchy material that does not break, I would love to see it. It will all break eventually. If you want something that does not break, then just use soft flex wire if you want to be sure. However, we've all sort of, you know, become very fond of this concept of stretchy bracelets. And so where I'm going, I'm actually going in two different directions with this. Number one is it will or it might stretch a little bit. So I don't know if you guys can tell, but I almost make my bracelets just a little bit too snug, thinking that eventually that they will stretch. The other thing is it's not really connected to the stretching, but really more the breaking, okay? So how do we deal with that? Well, you know, especially if you're working with Opalon, and I'm very, very fond of Opalon. I'm just going to measure this really quickly. So as you're stringing, you know the size of your wrist. So all you have to do is just, let's say you're making a 7-inch bracelet. Great. It's just like any other bracelet. All you have to do is just keep measuring it. So if I'm making a 7-inch bracelet at this point, I know that, well, if I add one more bead, I will be just a little bit under. If I add 2 more beads, I'll be just a little bit over. I'm okay with either way, really. So I think I might just go maybe with one more. So, just like with any bracelet, don't forget to measure it so that it doesn't get too long. And so what I was going to say is, as far as when opalon breaks, we don't want to lose all of our beautiful beads. So occasionally just look at your bracelet. And if you're starting to see like little fibers sticking out, that probably means that it's going to break soon. So at that point, I would restring it. But as I said, for me, it's been lasting a very long time. I actually have not had one bracelet break yet, and I have been making these for a few years now. So the nice thing about opalon is that it kind of gives you a little bit of a warning, because you start seeing little stretchy fibers stick out of the bracelet. So I am now going to, actually maybe I will add two more. So it doesn't really matter which side I'm adding this on, because right now obviously it looks like one side is a little longer and or this one is a little longer, this one is a little shorter. Well, it really doesn't matter, because you will not be able to see where the knot is. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to stretch it a little bit, like so. Maybe like pull out anywhere between 1 and 2 inches of opalon. And then I'm simply going to tie an overhand knot.
Katie says, can you believe I have never made a stretchy bracelet?
Katie, I do believe it. I totally believe it, because for a very long time, I was so resistant to stretchy bracelets. Well, because they break, and I knew that they break, and I just didn't want to make something that breaks. But I embrace them, and I absolutely love wearing them now, especially because I like wearing multiples. So it's so easy for at least one or two of them to be a stretchy. So this is what it looks like right now. And now we are going to take these two ends and we're going to feed them into one of the beads. And normally when I make a stretchy bracelet, I might have something, maybe just like one focal with a larger hole. But with these beads, you really don't have to have anything with a larger hole. So you can see where the knot is. And I'm about to pull it into one of the beads. But first, we're going to take our glue out. And I like putting down a little piece of paper so that I don't make a mess. And I have a little toothpick. So this is E6000, and I really, really recommend that you use E6000 for this purpose, because when E6000 dries, it does not dry stiff. It dries a little bit flexible, and that's a very good thing for us, because we want a little flexibility. If you're using something like super glue or super new glue, while I really love those for certain things, but for this I really don't, because you don't want to make your string stiff, because if you do, of course it will break. All right, so this is how I do it. I simply, okay, first I blow a little glue bubble, and then I start actually squeezing out a little glue, and I'm going to put a good chunk of glue right on the knot, something like that. And then we're just going to pull on the other side of the string and pull the knot right in. And maybe, okay, I'm just going to remove some of that glue. Although, you know what? When E6000 dries, it's so easy to remove it. And then I still have a little glue left over on my toothpick, and I'm just going to put that right into the hole for good measure. And make sure that the glue is really on, the knot is really on the inside of the bead. And I'm going to set it aside and not cut it just yet until it dries. So normally I really like to allow it to dry for 24 hours. But since I kind of want to show you how to cut it off, we're just going to pretend that it's been 24 hours, but it's really so much better if you let it be for 24 hours. So this is what I do. I stretch it, and then while it's stretched, I will cut the excess opalon, and then it just kind of, the tail just bounces right into the bead. And where's the knot? What knot? It's magic. So then you just get a really nice continuous bracelet, and that's it.
Cherie says, I've never made one. I'm thinking the breaking bothered me.
You know what? It really used to bother me until I actually did it and started I wear these almost every day. And I have not had one break yet. I mean, someday I'm sure it will. But like I said, for most of my bracelets, it's been years because I have my favorites and I just wear them all the time.
And Fonda says, my friend made me a stretchy bracelet. The first time I put it on my wrist, it broke and all the beads fell on the ground outside.
Oh no, Fonda. Well, you know what? That really is the reason why I prefer opalon to everything else. First of all, step one is do it correctly. Meaning glue the knot in place, hide the knot, let it dry for 24 hours. So do it correctly. And second step for not losing your beads is just know that at some day it will break. So as soon as you start noticing these little fibers poke out, that is your cue. Your bracelet is literally talking to you. It's saying, please restring me. And so you kind of have to listen to it. But, these have been just so much fun. In fact, years ago when stretchy bracelets first became so popular, I was talking people out of making them. I really was, and I sort of came around when it became so popular. And I don't know, maybe it's fear of missing out on my part, but I embraced it and I'm so happy for it. So yeah, I have not yet had one break. And I love mine. I mean, I sort of wear the same bracelets all the time. And I don't know, they just make me happy. Okay, ladies, so obviously, when we make our second bracelet and when we use our little connector, this is going to be a slightly different plan. So I'm going to cut myself some opalon again. And when you get your kits, you will have 5 feet of opalon. So, depending on how frugal you are, it's actually enough for more than 4 bracelets, but at least 4 bracelets. Like I said, I usually cut mine somewhere between 12 and 14 inches, but could you get away with just 12? Of course, and then you have enough for 5 bracelets. And as far as the beads, you do have enough for 4 bracelets. Okay, so here is my opalon, and we are using a connector that we just made.
Sally says, same as once in a while when a crimp fails.
Yeah, exactly. I suppose a crimp can fail. Yeah, it's not something that is going to happen all the time. It's not like you have to restring it every month. But, just expect to depending on how much you wear it. I would not wear it in the shower because the chemicals from your products will break down the stretchy. Also, some people will use double, and you could do that, certainly. I normally don't, but you could. Okay, ladies, so I'm going to connect to one side of my connector right now. And I'm just going to tie an overhand knot, and we've tied like a schmillion of these. And so I'm actually not trying to land the overhand knot super, super close to my loop. So I want it to be, well, maybe just a little bit closer. So what are my parameters? What I want this to do is once I put a bead over it, I want this knot to be inside the bead, just as before. So I'm going to give you a little oh my goodness. Sorry, guys. That was our little dog, and Tony had no idea he was here. So he kind of bumped into him, but everybody's okay. Tiki is okay. Okay, so I'm just going to show you what this is going to look like once we are done stringing. So we're just going to, instead of finishing the opalon in one bead, it's going to be on two opposite ends from the connector. And it's just going to poke out, you know, between two beads on one side and between two beads on the other side. And eventually we are going to do the same thing. We're just going to stretch it and cut it. And, you know, I sort of cut everything with my wire cutter just because my wire cutter is pretty much the extension of my hands at this point. But if you have a nice sharp pair of scissors, that's probably even better. Okay, so we are starting out with the knot right here. And so it's probably about, I don't know, anywhere from 4 to 6 millimeters from the loop. So that is a really, really good distance to put this knot. And I'm going to pick my beads. Okay, this is getting a little crowded, so I'm just going to move some things around. So I'm going to pick my beads again. And maybe this time I will use the sapphire glass beads. And these are matte. They're so pretty, you guys. These are matte, just like when you go hunting for beach glass. And so it has this kind of a beach glass feel. And I really love this teal. The teal is probably my favorite. And maybe I will throw in just maybe a few of the aqua. Again, you can just mix it however you want to. And I'm going to start by stringing one of the beads. And I want to put both ends of the opalon into the bead. So obviously the short end of the opalon is not the working end, and this is going to get cut off eventually. In the meantime, this guy we're just going to leave on the side, and I'm going to start stringing.
Kathy K says, love your necklaces.
Oh, thank you so much, Kathy.
Kim K says, happy Thursday. So sorry to be a bit late.
Hi, Kim. It's okay. It's better to be fashionably late than not at all. I'm glad you're here.
And Kim K adds, I make stretch bracelets for all the time. Love to make them at school with 4- and 5-year-olds.
Oh, that's so fun. You know what? I so miss going to my kids' school to help out with art. I used to do that, and it was just such great fun.
Katie S. says, can we please see the necklaces you are wearing tonight?
Absolutely. You know what? I'm going to do this as a little intermission. This way I will not forget. So this one is just like, you remember these beads, right? This is composite turquoise. And of course, all of my necklaces are like Legos. I can take them all apart. And that's my fun thing that I do in the morning. I remix my jewelry. And this one is more turquoise with a little bit of garnet. We used to have these square little garnet square dells, I guess. And then of course I feel like my Star of David, which is made out of Roman glass, it always just goes with all of my turquoise. So there we go. These are all my necklaces today.
Cherie says Tiki was talking. He sends a heart.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, Tiki is a big talker. Oh my gosh, you can't even imagine. He makes these Chewbacca sounds. He's very, very vocal. Yes, especially if he sees another dog or maybe a different animal, he literally makes exactly the same sounds as Chewbacca.
Allie says, so pretty.
Thank you so much, Allie.
And Cherie says, that's really pretty.
Thank you so much. So, okay, so now that was a little break, and now we're back to our bracelet. So, we hit our knot in the bead, and now I'm just stringing. And I don't really have a specific pattern in mind. You can do a pattern or just, sometimes I really like asymmetry, so I'm just going to do whatever occurs to me at the moment. And of course, we're going to remember to measure occasionally, because it is very, very easy to lose track of it. So again, I'm going for a 7-inch. So I still have about 2.5 inches to go. So the sky seems to be clearing up. That was a very quick storm, I would say. It got super, super dark. But, I was kind of hoping that it would go into the night because, our plants do need water. And I like watching the lightning. So it looks like I need 3 more beads. And let's measure it again. Okay, we are there. So now I'm going to, obviously I can't finish it in exactly the same way as I started. So this is what I'm going to do. I am putting the opalon through the double loop. I'm going to stretch it a little bit. And now I'm going to go right back through the first bead. Okay, and then it's between these 2 beads that I'm going to tie my knot. If you wanted to, you could go through more than just the 1 bead. However many beads you want to go through is fine. Now, this time I can't do an overhand knot, so I am just making a half hitch knot. And as we know, half hitch knots, they just don't hold on their own, so they always have to be glued. So I'm going to make a double half hitch knot. And then I'm going to glue both knots.
Bobby says, my basement was almost dry this morning. We will see when I get home if that is still the case.
Oh, Bobby, good luck
Fingers
with your
crossed.
basement. Yes, good luck, all of you, everybody with their basement. We have to check our basement when we get home as well. Okay, so it seems that the knot just wants to pull into this first bead, and that's okay. If that's what it wants to do, who am I to stop it? So I'm just going to feed my string back through the same bead, and I am again going to grab my little piece of paper and my toothpick, and then we are going to glue both knots. And I think I'm just going to pick up some glue just like this with a toothpick. That's a little too much. So we want chunky, but not too chunky. And of course, E6000 is really quite gap filling. So, you know, if your chunk of glue fills the entire hole, that's like bonus points. That's a good thing. So you saw I just put a chunk of glue on the knot, pull the knot into the bead immediately after, and done.
Fonda says, I love these colors so much, I might have to try my hand at making a stretchy bracelet.
Oh, yay, Fonda. And you know what? You're going to get hooked. And then, guess what? You can show your friend how to do it correctly so that they don't break. Well, they will break, but we want it to break someday, maybe like a decade from now, but not immediately. Okay, and again, I am just going to pull this knot right in. And that's it. So, as I mentioned, I really like letting this sit for 24 hours. So I actually pre-made one. And this guy has been sitting for a while. So I'm going to use this one to show you how to snip the ends off. So again, we're just going to stretch it a little bit and cut it off as close as you can. And ideally, the stretchy string just bounces right into the bead so that you cannot see it at all. And we will do the same thing on the other side. So make sure you stretch it really nicely. And ideally, it's so glued in place because, you know, we filled the hole. And this way you don't even see the knot come out. And that's it. All done. So this is how you make a good stretchy bracelet that's going to hold for a good while.
Cherie says, I wish they could make E6000 less gloppy and didn't dry up so quickly. Other than that, it's great.
You know what? I totally agree with you. Yes, it's a bit too gooey and it does dry up really quickly, which is why at this point, I really only use these little teeny tiny things of E6000, these little tubes. And this is the only way that we carry E6000 in the store because you can pretty much expect it to dry out. Well, if you're lucky, it lasts a month and you can make all sorts of cool things. But really, it never really lasts more than like, say, a month for me.
Kim K says, we had the craziest storms yesterday in North Carolina. Super dark sky with lots of thunder and lightning. These kinds of storms usually occur in the summer.
Oh, those are beautiful. It's like a light show. I remember we were having one of those storms one time, and Tony and I drove to this place on a hill in our area, and we sat on this hill and we just watched this beautiful storm I mean, it was spectacular. We've done that multiple times, but that was the only time we sat on that hill. So usually, we'll just watch it from our house.
Katie S. says, I love the garnet and turquoise combo. I've
Thank
never
you
put
so
those
much,
two
Katie.
together. I bought some of those garnets from the store several years ago, and they're still waiting to be used.
Oh my goodness, yes, absolutely use them. I love these garnets. I actually don't have any more. I don't know what I did with the other ones, but I love garnets and turquoise. And of course, I love carnelian and turquoise. And I really, really like, oh, I was thinking I don't really have anything, but no, I lied. Look at this. Lapis and turquoise. That's kind of cool too. I like lapis and turquoise. These are obviously, this is one of my earrings.
Katie S. says, love the sea glass look.
Thank you so much, Katie.
Bobby agrees. She only buys the small tubes of E6000.
Oh, yes, that's a really good strategy because I mean, people who buy 6,000, not everybody works on jewelry, but since we work on little tiny things and we don't use a whole lot all at once.
Allie says there are small tubes of E6000. I think those are the new ones.
Yeah, this is the teeniest one. This is like the baby tube.
Kathy K is wondering if hypo cement would work better.
No, definitely not. Hypo cement is very similar to like crazy glue, where it's when you put it on string, it will make it brittle. So I would not recommend that you use hypo cement for this particular use. Other uses, absolutely. I love GS hypo cement.
Okay, I don't know if I said this one, but Katie said, I love the sea glass look.
Yes, you did.
Well,
and
we'll say it again.
Thank you again, Katie. Yay.
Kim K says, so cute, love these, and they would be lovely in a stack.
You know what? I'm going to model these for you. So I think this one is still a little bit wet, but I'm going to be very, very careful.
Cherie says, thank you for a great class. I will try this. Love that mix of lapis and turquoise.
Oh, thank you so much, Cherie. So this is what it looks like. Here, we'll do that. Oh, maybe this is too similar to be next to each other. Something needs to separate it. Maybe this guy.
Cherie says, I wonder if there's a super strong rubber cement.
Well, I believe E6000 is the super strong rubber cement. I think that's what it is, actually. Okay, ladies. So, I don't know why I took it off. I should have just left it. Well, anyway, I just like playing with my jewelry, I guess. Okay, so let me tell you what we have coming up. We have all sorts of fun things coming up. Tomorrow, if you join me at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, that's tomorrow, Friday, and this is going to be on the Eclectica Facebook page, we are going to have a super, super fun event that I'm calling Bead Soup. So Bead Soup is, well, at least my bead soup is all about color and whimsy. So I have this little bead to remind me to talk about the lampwork beads. And so I have little critters. I have little lampwork rubber duckies. I mean, they're just hilarious. And we have the hollow beads, and obviously we have these beads, which I already mentioned, the matte glass or the beach glass look beads. And lately, all of a sudden, a lot of people have been asking me about fire polish. And so tomorrow I'm going to be featuring some really beautiful, very, very exciting colors of fire polish in 3 and 4 millimeters at a really, really awesome price. So we're going to look at that tomorrow.
Althea says, another fun project. I need to start making the mix and match components. I'm running out of room in my closet.
Oh no, you know what? I have a really great idea for you. Make more room for your jewelry. You know how I make more room for my jewelry? I literally have a board with like little teeny nails that are spaced about an inch, like an inch apart. And that's where I hang most of my necklaces. So anyway, just a thought. Okay, and so I have more previews for you guys. So on Monday, I'm going to be doing something very, very unusual. So this is our Monday, we're still calling it a pop-up event because, we do it some Mondays and then some Mondays we don't do it. And so what I'm going to be doing this coming Monday at 4 o'clock, and this is going to be Monday, May 19th. So we're going to be featuring these incredibly beautiful stitching kits. I know this is like a big surprise because I usually don't have anything stitching. However, we have acquired this incredible collection of stitching kits, and they're by so many different artists. A lot of the names you will recognize. I will save that for Monday. And they're going to be, it's a really varied collection. They're gorgeous. They're going to be anywhere between like 60 and 70% off the original price. So that is very exciting. So if you have stitching friends, please let them know. Again, this is going to be on Monday, the 19th at 4 o'clock Central Standard Time. So I'm going to have like so many different kits. But wait, there's more. There's always more. So on Thursday, I'm going to have a video at the usual time. So this is going to be Thursday, May 22nd at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on my page, and where, incidentally, is where you are right this moment. And we are going to be making the Capistrano necklace. And this, of course, this has to do with the legend of the swallows always returning to Capistrano. Okay, this is getting to be a little bit crowded, but that's okay. We like messy. So this is my necklace that symbolizes returning to a safe place. And that, I believe, is about it. I know that a lot of you have been finding my YouTube channel, and thank you so much for that. So please keep signing up for the YouTube channel. And that is, of course, because I know I've said this so many times, I'm sounding like a broken record in my head, but I'll still say it. So, Facebook no longer supports videos that are over 30 days old. So that's why as soon as the video airs, we're now putting it on YouTube, and it is Irina Miech Jewelry Design. That is my YouTube channel. So we are doing that with the how-to videos because we want to keep them, because these videos serve as directions for my kits. But of course, we're not doing that with the shopping events. And I believe that covers everything.
Almost. A few more comments.
Oh, but wait, there's more.
But wait. Cherie says, thank you, Irina and Tony. Be blessed.
Thank you so much, Cherie, and you as well.
And Shri adds, ooh, I love that. Oh, I love that swallow birdie.
Oh, thank you so much.
And we'll sign off with a happy birthday to Fonda's son, whose birthday is on Monday.
Woohoo! Is he turning, I want to say 17, I'm guessing? Am I guessing correctly? Do I win a prize? Happy birthday to your son, Fonda. Those milestones, they're exciting. As you know, we just had a milestone. So happy, and everybody who has a birthday this month, happy birthday to you as well.
Kim K says, thanks so much for sharing the project. I hope everyone enjoys a wonderful weekend.
Thank you so much, Kim. And thank you guys for watching. Thank you for your orders. And I hope you enjoy an awesome weekend as well.